Paul Jones. So this young man told us to watch out for him last time round, and of course here he is, second on the grid. Paul, very well done to you. You've had a few help from the Ducati team, haven't you, with setup of your bike?
Yeah, I mean, we've been struggling so far this season, and we thought we need to do something quick. And with the World Superbike round last weekend, we just asked Ducati for a bit of help, how to set the thing up, and we tried it, and it's a lot better. We had a bit of trouble yesterday. We qualified well in the second session. We fell down the wet pretty bad. We had a struggle to get it fixed. All credit to the team. Neil and the two Bruces worked so hard, got the thing ready, we're here and let's have it. I'm as good as anything, so let's go.
First time on a four-stroke for you, young man on the front row. Very best of luck to you. Well, of course, the tragedy of this is this could be his last round. He's struggling for sponsorship big time. Well, of course, no surprise when we see Jim Moody on the front row of the grid, but he's a bit outnumbered today amongst all these Ducatis. But you might be asking, where's the Australian contingent? Well, not to be forgotten about back there on row 3. Well, one thing's for sure, of all the races we've seen so far, it's going to be a close one.
Dean Thomas then, the Australian, is challenging on the Ducati. Ducati in first, second and third position on the grid. Will they convert it? Jim Moody's to the left of your picture, and the Scotsman on the Castrol Honda. The red lights are on now, and that's a great start there from Dean Thomas on bike number 6. He's away, but look at Jim Moody. Jim Moody got an absolute flyer up the inside. Oh, here we go. Glaswegian versus Aussie. My money's on the little Scot.
You're absolutely right, Keith. The Honda from 4th place on the grid leaped straight into the lead. And that is Dean Thomas and young Jonesy following him down the hill for the first time. Who's that for? Tim Poole.
Tim Poole got a flyer off the 3rd row of the grid then, so Tim Poole better watch out for a bit of a protest.
He's gone grass tracking.
Yeah, Scott Smart is there in 4th place, I think, now on bike number 88, but it's Jim Moody that leads along Lakeside down towards Island Corner. Dean Thomas nicely placed in 2nd place, so the Honda leads the two Ducatis, in fact 3, because he's got Scotty there in 4th place as well. We're at Shell Corner. Moody leads on bike 21. Out towards Falstons now. Now, these Ducatis, well, we would have expected them in the introduction of the 748V twin Ducatis in this year's Supersport Series to have been, well, maybe a little punchier than the 4-cylinder 600cc motorcycles. They've sort of fallen into the World Championship rules this year in the British Series. Moody winding the wick up on that Castrol Honda. Of course, his teammate Kirk McCarthy, who led this series going into this race, really finds him mired way back in the pack.
Yeah, the Aussie hasn't even improved on his starting position. He's way back in midfield.
We've got
Honda's on the deck.
We've got a big off there. 13 is there, Adrian Kershaw, and that looks like Warwick Nowland's bike there. Yes, it is. That's Nowland himself, and that is his bike 25. So we've definitely... Oh,
what fire!
Yes, we have fire there. So Nowland's bike, not fire. Back at the front, there's another fire. Moody versus... Look at Thomas.
Yeah, and it's Scotty Smart in 3rd place.
Good ride from Scotty. Pace car out, so they're going to have to go behind the car. They will have to spend a lap, or at least a lap, behind the car by the look of that.
4 men on the floor, Cherry, Quigley, Kershaw and Nolan. I assume Keith will have the pace car out till they've cleaned the debris up.
Watch for the white flag with the red cross on it. That's when the boys will know that they have got to slow down, because the pace car is on the course, and you're not allowed to pass, of course, once you get to that. 21 Moody lead from... Oh, Scott Smart just slid off. That was Scott Smart who just went down a cascade. Oh, nearly wiped our camera out. Scott Smart, how inconsiderate of you.
There it is.
Oh, I tell you what.
Big one.
I take it all back when I look at that. Scott Smart, I hope you're okay. So Scott Smart's motorcycle well and truly mashed at Cascades there. And Smarty is out of our picture. I wonder if our cameraman's all right, actually.
That's a big gravel trap that bike skipped across.
Still, it is. 21 Jim Moody that leads from Dean Thomas in 2nd place. And still, we're waiting to see if that pace car is out on the track. There's another motorcycle that's gone there. That's Vermeulen. Vermeulen has gone out with Scott Smart. So Chris Vermeulen and Scott Smart go down. Take another quick look at this. So coming down to Cascades, we've got 21 Jim Moody, number 6 Dean Thomas, and look back in your picture. Scott Smart is in. Oh, he's not. He's down already. Scott Smart is already down on the deck. So Scott Smart out of this race. There is the safety car out on the track. That'll mean now that the white flag with the red crosses is out. And Chris Vermeulen and Scott Smart are perfectly okay, we're told. There are the flags to indicate that we are under a safety car situation. The safety car pulls to one side. The green flag is made ready by Annabelle Webb. Yes, the deputy clerk of the course at the start line waves the ball off them. We are back and racing. Jim Moody leads. Still Dean Thomas 2nd, down the avenue. Oh, look at this homing in behind them. Paul Jones hanging in there.
Well, of course, the pace cars closed them all up. It's like a complete restart. Jim Moody thought he'd escaped. Dean Thomas thought he'd escaped. but no, the Scousers led them right back up there.
Just gone past the scene of that crash and onto Lakeside. Oh, I thought that Ducati was going to try and make a pass on our Jim at that point, so through Island Corner.
Oh, that was like Hodgson and Walker in Superbike all over again.
Yeah, it's going to get just as messy as Thomas looks at the outside line. Well, there's not really a sensible passing place around the outside there. Moody, Thomas, Jones, Whitby, Richards and Paul, that's your top 6. We can take another look now at that, well, almost pass from Dean Thomas. Good drive from the Ducati man out of Cascades as he gets on the rear wheel of Jim Moody. Jim Moody almost breaks the handlebars off, looking for more power out of the Honda. And then as Thomas dives for the inside, a little bit of a wheelie there from Jim Moody into the braking area of Island Corner. And Dean Thomas will have to wait until later in the day. Chris Vermeulen, meanwhile, has made it back into pit lane safely.
I hit Scott when he crashed.
Smart.
Yeah, he's crashed.
Pretty dangerous when you give someone like him a bike with horsepower, isn't it?
Yeah.
Harsh words there from Vermeulen's team manager. I think Scott Smart might like a word in his ear a bit later on. Lap 7, Jim Moody then, in charge still from Dean Thomas, but Thomas has just banged in the fastest lap, and I've got to say, Jules is looking pretty menacing there in second place. Glenn Richards, now that's a good ride from Glenn Richards. He's come right through. Glenn Richards was back on the second.
Here goes the move, Keith, here goes the move. Dean Thomas, where we thought it had happened, drives round Jim Moody. The Honda man back to second, and just as you said about that fastest lap, Keith, it looks like this could be sayonara time for the Honda.
Same place where the Ducati gets the drive down Cascades, and this time he made it stick as far as Jim was concerned, into the Island Corner braking area. He went the other way on Jim, outfoxed the old-timer, and dropped it in across his nose. Lap 11, Dean Thomas in charge from Jim Moody. Now, if anyone can, Jim Moody can to make a pass. So, Dean Thomas, got to keep it smooth, got to keep it in front of Moody. Will he bring Ducati their first win in British Supersports history? We're going to find out pretty soon. We're in the closing stages of this race.
Well, he's going to have to hang tough to do it, because there's no tougher competitor than Jim Moody, number 21 on the Honda. This is where the Honda appears to lose out a bit to the Ducati, Keith.
Yeah, I think we've seen that with the 4-cylinder Superbikes as well around there. You remember Chris Walker was struggling very slightly compared with Neil Hodgson on that particular drive, but Dean Thomas sticks in another fastest lap, 101.75 mile an hour out of a treaded, tired road-going 748 Ducati. Not bad, I'd say.
Not bad at all. The 748, by the way, a much nicer road bike than the 916, despite what anybody tells
well,
you.
Speak for yourself. I don't agree with you, Julian, but what's new about that either? Out of the Fulston chicane then, over Hilltop. It is Dean Thomas. It's probably because it's slower, Julian, suits your style better.
Thank you, Keith.
Down into Knickerbrook there. We still got Jim Moody in second place.
Best Grand Prix result was the one in 5th, wasn't it?
Yeah, you've stood on top of a Grand Prix podium before as well, haven't you, Julian? Thank you. Knickerbrook then, 34 is Howard Whitby, 16 is the resurgent Kirk McCarthy.
What do you mean on top?
Well, certainly higher than you'll ever see, Jules.
Oh, not at all bitter and twisted. Now then, let's have a look. Jim Moody attacking, not long left in this race, tighter line.
Keep an eye on Whitby, though. Whitby is something very, very special when he's on the move. Lap 14. Dean Thomas versus Jim Moody. Moody is closing right up, so Moody is right there with Dean Thomas through Knickerbrook. Well, can Jim pull something out of the bag here? It will be a remarkable effort, because I'm sure that should go. Oh, and out goes Glenn Richards. Glenn Richards is out. Well, that's Vermeulen out, his teammate. So the Sanyo First National Honda team not happy, and Vermeulen, oh dear me, Glenn Richards marked it somewhat unceremoniously.
No justice from a great ride there.
Number 6, Thomasen. Oh, and a red flag. We've got a red flag out. That'll be race distance, and they will take that order for sure. And there's a man down. I think that looks like Fulston's chicane, but I can't identify who it is.
I think it's Tim Poole, the Northwich man, the local guy, Keith.
And he was riding so good as well, but he looks okay. So Tim Poole okay, but not as okay as this man. Dean Thomas declared the winner. Dean Thomas on top of the pile, Jim Moody in second place. Glenn Richards did get third place despite running out of fuel, because to take the result from the lap before they stopped it on. McCarthy, Whitby, Jones, Wickens and Frost round out the top 8. And in the series, Moody is now on top of the series from McCarthy, his teammate. Thomas is third, Richards, Ford, Vermeulen, Whitby, Morley and Wickens.
Dean, big congratulations. Your first pole that you converted into a race win out there. You were just holding off Moody there, weren't you?
I know, it took me about, I was looking at the board and it was like +4, +0.4, +0.5, +0.6 something.
I was trying to shake him and I couldn't get rid of him, and the last sort of 5 laps I was starting to get a bit of brake fade. You know, this is a hard place on brakes, and I could see he was closing in on me, and I